Alright, Shalom. I want to give all praises, honors, and glories due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Rakah, Kodash. I want to give double honors to elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and peace, blessings, and salutations to the elect scattered around the four corners of the earth. This is going to be a quick video because I have another video coming up tonight, around probably like 1 a.m. I'm feeling a little bit tired, so I'm going to make this quick as possible. So basically, current events. We got a protest going on in what's it called, Minnesota, Minneapolis, Minnesota, over another police shooting. I believe the case with this one is that the guy was resisting arrest and he started running away, and the cops shot him, and that was it. Uh, Basically, they're saying the what's it called, the forensics, the people that do the morgue and whatnot, the people that do the dead bodies check the forensics of the body. I forgot the name. I can't believe it. Let me see if I can find it. But basically, they ruled it as a homicide. Morgue. Check. Uh, Professions. Basically, they did an autopsy. Excuse me. I can't say the word right. They did an autopsy of the dead body, and they ruled it as a homicide. So right now, the police are saying it was an accident, and the morgue is saying other things, which is causing a lot of tension over there in Minnesota. Okay, now I'm gonna read you this article because something happened today that I wanted to do a lesson on. And as you can see here, these are all articles I'm gonna cover up in my next lesson, because it's gonna be something very important. As you can see, things are going down in April, just how it was going down last year. This is around the same season when that whole George Floyd thing kicked off, around June, April, May. So things are heating up. It's becoming Lord's will. This will be the final flame that lights and explodes. Because they already have everything in place. The microchip is coming in place because they're saying they're trying to make a microchip for the uh the pandemic for COVID, to see if you have the virus, basically. So the Pentagon, the military, they're just coming out and saying it. So things are getting pretty interesting. This is by White Lives Matter, or Marches Failed Protest. Attempts to organize a far-right White Lives Matter marches in cities across the country failed spectacularly, with a number of planned events having almost no attendees or canceled entirely. White supremacists and neo-Nazis and other extremists had coordinated dozens of rallies in cities such as Fort Texas, Chicago, Illinois, and Orlando, Florida, all due to take place at 1 p.m. on Sunday, which I believe today is Monday. Let's see, today is Tuesday. So basically, nothing happened on Sunday. The marches were planned to to take place and be discussed on social media. An encrypted messaging app, Telegram, which Telegram is a good app, by the way, to share news and articles, because it's basically a free speech platform. However, there was no real indication that many of the White Lives marches would be highly attended, with several dedicated channels for individual marches in cities having only a handful of subscribers. The largest of the White Lives Matter rallies appears to have taken place in Huntington Beach, California, but white supremacists were still vastly outnumbered by more than 200 counter protesters. An unlawful assembly was later declared after physical altercations broke out between the two opposing sides. Elsewhere, other planned White Lives Matter saw almost no attendees from the far right, with some only having a handful being met with large crowds of counter protesters. Okay, according to NBC News, there was only a white lives marcher, and you're supposed to be able to say there's only one. There was only one White Lives Matter march in Albuquerque, Albuquerque, New Mexico, on Sunday, with three showing up outside City Hall in Fort Worth, Texas. On Telegram, despondent marchers described their disappointment over the failure of the rallies planned in their city. The administrator, the administrator who organized a march in Kenner, Louisiana, wrote on Telegram, "No one has showed up to the meetup point. It has been close to 2 hours since the technical start time for the march. We're going to call it the march is canceled. If anyone is still trying to make it, I advise you not to." One Telegram user in Memphis, Tennessee, described how they sat around the area of the protest, but no one showed up on Sunday. The organizer of a white supremacist rally in Nashville, Tennessee, also held a "Woke. I was the only person to show up after being here an hour and a half. For nothing, I'm going home." In an almost empty Telegram group for White Lives protest in Norfolk, Virginia, one woman wrote that was pitiful. Organizers of the event was already in disarray days before April 11th, as reported by Vice News. Telegram channel was planning marches in cities such as Philly and New York turned out to be hoaxes created by Antifa to act as a honeypot to expose the neo-Nazis and extremists hoping to take part. At least one person was still seen attending a fake White Lives Matter rally outside Trump Tower in New York on Sunday. Uh, so basically, nobody showed up. You know, it was all a huge joke. You see this Edomite here appears to be an Edomite. I'm gonna say he's an Edomite. I'm gonna call it. I guess they're interviewing this. Basically, this is the guy that showed up in New York outside of Trump Tower. And it's kind of funny, because you have all these white supremacists being united by skin color, which is not white; they're red. Nobody's white. You can clearly see this guy's skin is not white. Okay, it's like a pink color, a pink, uh, like a real light tan pink color. You can only see hints of the pink here. But if you were to bring up a fish and compare side by side, you would see that that's really the skin color of white people. They're like the color of salmon fish, especially those real light pink ones. That kind of look like sandy brown, tan a little bit. So that's pretty interesting there. I'll go ahead and get a few scriptures. Then I want to play this video. This is Deuteronomy uh 30. Where do I want to start? In verse 7. "And the Lord, Yahweh Shemiel Shai, thy power, will put all these curses upon thy enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee," which this is going to fully take effect in the kingdom of heaven. Once we're on top, all the curses will fall on the other nations, man. Especially heavily on Esau Edom, because he's gonna bear the brunt of the curses. The curse is gonna affect Ishmael, Moab, Ammon, Elam. It's gonna affect them, but it's really gonna heavily affect Esau Edom. You're gonna catch the most hell going on them slave ships. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. This is Jeremiah 49. And by the way, a few years ago, not let me even say a decade ago, okay? Back in 2000, we're gonna start from that era. It was seen it was seen as a glorious thing to be white, you know? It wasn't until all these you know, mass shootings or false flag shootings started taking place, then people started looking at white people as the bad people. Okay? So get that you know, you gotta understand that real quick. So Esau started being exposed in like the 2000s, you know, during that era, the information age. And now, you know, these Edomites, they have to come out and actually tell people that it's okay to be white because they're now feeling the guilt. They're feeling the guilt of all their wickedness, you know? It's Jeremiah 49:10. But I have made Esau a bear, I have uncovered his secret places, and he should not be able to hide himself, okay? His seed is spoiled, and his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not. Okay, all that you know, all that glory he has is being spilled, you know. These Edomites, that all their wickedness is now open. It is in the open, you know. Before they used to call themselves the people of God, the people of righteousness, the ones that always brings light to people's worlds. Now, with all the exposure of what's going on with these wars with America, people are looking at white people as the bad people, primarily the American Edomite. Okay, because these European Edomites, they're not looked at as badly as other, you know, as other Edomites. But you know, even them, the European Edomites, they're looking down on these American Edomites because of how arrogant and how stupid they are, you know, and how wicked they are. Because I would say this: the American Edomite is more wicked than the European Edomite. Those ones in Europe, they have been tamed, you know, they have been tamed, they have been conquered by the elites. The elites got their foot on their necks, you know. So they're not really, you know, they're not really how do I say this? They're not really outspoken. They're more tamed with their racism. But the ones in America, they show it, you know, and they don't hide it. So that's why a lot of people they hate. They have a special hate, especially with the military, you know, because America is the number one country that goes around building and putting military bases in every country. This is Habakkuk 2:16. Thou art filled with shameful glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. Okay? The cup of the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. Shameful spewing, okay? I'm going to go ahead and play this video, and then I'm going to go ahead and close it out. Then I'm going to go ahead and start this lesson later on these 4 articles. I got to do this quick because it's getting pretty late.
City of Brooklyn Center in Minnesota following the fatal shooting of a black man by police. The man was shot in a car after being pulled over for a traffic violation, and that provoked crowds to flock to the local police department. There was looting in the area, of course, as well as clashes. The National Guard were deployed, tear gas was used. Now, Brooklyn Center is 10 miles from Minneapolis, where it was last year that the death of a black man at the hands of police led to nationwide protests. There was a race-related unrest in California as well. A White Lives Matter rally had been organized online, but was met by a larger group of counter-protesters from Black Lives Matter. The confrontation descended into violent clashes with bloody fistfights too.
Remember me, because I'm going to lay you the I hope.
Yes, like how you did it, son, remember?
Yeah, there was a heavy police presence as well, and several arrests were made on both sides. The counter-protesters later claimed it was a victory for Black Lives Matter. Well, here are reactions from both sides.
Black Lives Matter people here, and, you know, White Lives Matter too, and we all want to be treated equally. That's what's going on.
The KKK never ended. They're alive. They may not wear the sheets and the costumes they used to, but they wear regular clothes, and they also are still active in creating racism and trying to harm people of color.
We spoke to the editorial director at the Reactionary Times. Julio Rivera says the rallies were used as a pretext for the Black Lives Matter movement to reassert itself.
This is some kind of a false flag, because in Seattle, there was supposed to be one of these rallies that never really materialized. And what did materialize was a large amount of counter protests. I think this is something that's being set up probably by the radical Marxists that are behind Black Lives Matter, to just give them an excuse to go back out into the streets and cause problems. Listen, this Black Lives Matter movement, just to speak on it broadly, has never been about equality. It's always been about Black superiority. We saw that last year in some of the videos. There probably are a group of white people that are frustrated at this point with the way that the media has been portraying race relations in America. Some of them may be extremist white supremacists, but some of them, you can't argue with a white person being frustrated with the racial narratives in America that isn't racist at all. Maybe somebody who believes that Black lives matter and white lives matter and all lives matter.
Well, racism has been branded an epidemic. America's Health Protection Agency, the CDC, claims it poses a serious threat to the well-being of the nation, and it's launched a special portal to tackle the issue.
Scripture just came to mind. Let me go ahead and get it right now. Let me close this one out, and close this one out. Go ahead and get this. But one of my favorite, what the hell just stung me. This is one of my favorite precepts, but in Matthew 10 and 34, this is Yahushua's words. You can see it's in red. This is verse 34. I'm going to read all the way, probably down to 36, okay? Think not that I have come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and a daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's foes shall be they of his own household. Okay? So in that time of division, as you can see, if you go to Ecclesiastes, I believe, where it talks about a time to heal. To heal. Right now we are in a dangerous time. Well, not necessarily dangerous, not necessarily dangerous, but still we're in a prophetic time. Let's say that. This is Ecclesiastes 3 and 1. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant, okay? And a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to get and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to cast away. We're in the time of losing. Not necessarily losing, but we're in the time of losing our forsaking everything, man, because it's a time now. This is the time that we have to forsake everything. Even though we're supposed to do it before once we come into this truth, but when this microchip is made mandatory, man, we have to forsake everything and depend on the Lord. So these are the times we're in, A time to rent, a time to sow, a time to keep silence, and right now is the time to speak, prophesy. Soon it's not gonna be no more speaking, man. The Lord's gonna close our mouths. A time to love and a time to hate, okay? A time to love and a time to hate. Right now is the time of hate, a time of war. Right now is the time of war. That time of peace. The time of peace will come in the kingdom, okay? After you heathen nations get your ass whooped for 1,000 years, then is going to be a time of peace, For even you heathens as well, okay? Because Esau is going to be done away with. You heathen nations, you will have your land. The land will be beautified. You're going to have your resources. You can build how big you want to build your house. No more taxes, or not taxes, but no more rent. You don't have to pay rent. You don't have to pay water bills, nothing. No education bills, nothing. The only thing you have to do is bring tributaries to us, on a monthly or timely basis. What more can you ask? You get to not inherit, but you get to live and dwell on the earth, a righteous, renovated earth, and have your land back, and be amongst your people, and have all kinds of delicious and purifying clean water and food, especially when the food gets when the food goes back to its natural size, when it becomes bigger, because the foods will increase, the portion of food will increase, because the earth is going to be at its fullest potential, everything will increase, so the food will be even much bigger. I mean, how much more can you ask, man? Okay, the average life expectancy for a heathen is probably going to go up and increase even more. So it's going to be crazy. Because these heathens have been living a terrible life under Esau Edom. They don't know how to live, okay? And it's our job in the kingdom to show them how to live through the law, statutes, and commandments. I'm going to go ahead and bring up one more precept. This is Matthew 12, verse 25. And Yahushua knew their thoughts. You can basically read the whole story, but I'm not going to do that. And Yahushua knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. Because basically, the scribes and Pharisees were calling Yahushua a devil, him being the son of the devil, and having left him power. Basically, they were wicked niggas who were jealous and who could not see the prophecies. Their eyes were blinded. And Yahushua knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself, and how shall then his kingdom stand? Okay? So yeah, how can Esau's kingdom stand now if he's already divided against himself? Not the scriptures, but you know what I'm saying. There's a saying in the world that people divided cannot basically prosper together. Roughly paraphrasing, it's a well-known thing that if you divide the people, especially of one so-called race, the whole so-called white race, then they cannot prosper. And the elites are doing this because they basically look down on the rest of the Edomites. They don't care about them. They look at them as heathens, man, as goyim, because the elites, they believe that they are a race of their own. Okay, and if you're not up there with their class, you're out of there, man. They don't give two shits about you, right? So you Edomites here, you poor ones, the ones that are not Israelites, of course, because we have Israelites among them, but the you actual Edomites that are stronger in the society, you guys are losing badly, man, because you're going to be a 2 times loser. You're going to be a slave here and a slave in the world to come. That's extremely tough. The Lord has a sense of humor. That's extremely tough. A 2 times loser. anyways, Salaki. That's tough. I would hate to be an Edomite. Oh man. Oh man, you're gonna be a slave here and in the world to come. That's tough. Anyway, Shalom.
Issue.
The disparities seen over the past year were not a result of COVID-19. Instead, the pandemic illuminated inequities that have existed for generations and revealed for all of America a known but often unaddressed epidemic impacting public health: racism.
Is racism a disease? If not, then I fail to see where the Center for Disease Control is involved. Seems to me more of a cultural issue.
Seriously, is the CDC running out of things to do?
It's no surprise that these people are more concerned about imaginary boogeyman than diseases. The CDC is a manifestation of our diseased political class.